and the man with the flashlight helped him out. The fifth man could barely walk, and even with the other man's help, he stumbled and fell face down into the sandy dirt. The back of his shirt was ripped and torn in more than a dozen places, and streaked with still wet blood. The man with the flashlight knelt down by the side of the injured man and checked his wounds with a professional eye. He patted the man's neck and whispered something in his ear, then went back to the hatchway where a sixth man was already crawling out into the open. The eyes of the sixth man were wide and staring, the whites exaggerated by the camouflage paint smeared over his flesh. He stumbled to his feet and looked around anxiously, as if wondering which way to run. The man with the flashlight holstered his gun and gripped the shoulder of the sixth man, pulling him close so that their faces were only inches apart. "It's okay," he hissed. "We're out." The sixth man opened his mouth, but no words came. The man with the flashlight glared at him with a fierce intensity. "It's okay," he said. "Tell me it's okay, Rabbit." He tightened his grip on the man's shoulder. The sixth man visibly relaxed. "It's okay," he whispered. Again. "It's okay," said the sixth man, slightly more confident this time. "I'm sorry, Doc. I lost it." The two men stared at each other for several seconds. Then the man with the flashlight nodded. "We all lost it," he said. He took his hand away from Rabbit's shoulder and stared at his palm. It was red with blood. "Are you hurt?" Doc asked. Rabbit shook his head. "No, it's—" He shook his head as if trying to rid himself of a bad memory. A seventh man climbed through the hatchway, a green headband holding his dirt-encrusted hair flat against his scalp. He had a rope tied around his waist, and it tightened as he crawled away from the hole. "Help me," he said, through tightly gritted teeth. Doc and Rabbit grabbed the rope and pulled, grunting with exertion. "Are you sure he's—" began Rabbit, but Doc silenced him with a threatening look. Together they hauled in the rope. Attached to the other end was the body of another soldier. The rope had been looped under his arms, and they heaved the body out of the hole. The neck was a mass of torn flesh, as if it had been hacked with a dull blade, and the shirt was caked with dried blood. The seventh man took an 18-inch long knife from a scabbard on his leg and used it to cut the rope from around his own waist. As he replaced the knife in its scabbard, he saw that the back of his hand was covered with blood. He knelt down and wiped his hand in the dirt. His skin was a dark olive colour, and even under the camouflage makeup, his high, razor-sharp cheekbones hinted at his Latino ancestry. "Now what?" he said, looking up at Doc. His voice was flat and cold, and his eyes were equally emotionless. "Put the hatch back," said Doc. The man in the headband nodded and did as he was told. Doc went over to the injured man and knelt down beside him again. "On your feet," he whispered. "We can't stay here." The injured man murmured something incomprehensible and struggled to stand. Rabbit came over to help, and together with Doc, he pulled the man upright. In the distance, there was a low, rumbling growl, as if a thunderstorm was approaching. "I'm all right," said the injured man. "Can you walk?" asked Doc. "Don't worry about me," he said. The Latino slotted the hatch into its original position and smoothed dirt over it. Doc looked over his shoulder. "Sergio, put the rock over it. Rabbit, give him a hand." The two men pushed the rock over the hatchway. Doc looked towards the horizon, smeared blood red by the dying rays of the sun. "That was bad, Doc," said the injured man. "I know. Real bad."